At least 4,000 children have died since 2014 while on the move to seek safety, almost half of them drowning, according to a Save the Children analysis, amid concerns that aid cuts will further drive up migration and fatalities. Save the Children said an analysis of International Organization for Migration, IOM, data showed at least 4,444 children died between 2014 and the start of 2025 while on migration routes, many fleeing conflict, hunger and climate shocks. However, the true number is likely to be much higher due to a lack of data on child migrants. For more on this, let's now welcome Daniela Reale, Save the Children's Migration Policy and Advocacy Lead. Daniela, thank you so much for your time. These numbers are obviously quite shocking and heartbreaking. Walk us through how, as you say, this is just a tip of the iceberg and that, in fact, the numbers could actually be higher in your report.
Indeed, you're absolutely right. These are huge numbers, and as you were saying, it's heartbreaking to read how many children have lost their lives over the last decade. And just to say that 2024 was the year with the highest number of fatalities recorded so far. So this is a clear trend, increased trend, tragic trend that we're seeing every day and every year with, more and more children, more and more people losing their lives. And it is true that we fear and we think that these numbers are just an underestimate because they rely on only those that were identifiable and as children, and so we think this is just a tip of the iceberg, unfortunately.
And I mean, another thing that is of concern is that this report does come at a time where we have seen global aid cuts. How will this further perhaps exacerbate the situation when we speak about migration and fatalities?
Absolutely. I mean, the cut of aid is a blow for families and children that rely on support to access food, to access healthcare, to access services like education. So the abrupt cuts and the ongoing cuts are going to impact their lives and more, and many of these families will have to resort to leaving their homes just as a way of survival and finding hope elsewhere.
And perhaps as we, start to just reflect on what the children are actually exposed to. I mean, in your report, you describe migration routes as graveyards for children. Perhaps paint a picture for us, that speaks to the reality some of these children and their parents or loved ones are exposed to on a daily basis, which will then further put a risk when you start looking at the fact that aid has been cut on various fundamental programs here.
Absolutely. It's our programs are seeing increasing number of children having to resort to very, very dangerous routes. The data that we are seeing here in this report show that the majority of people have encountered terrible death drowning. Many of them have died crossing the Sahara Desert because of lack of access to water or to food or because of the violence they encounter en route. And this is the reality that many families and many children live through their journey, and it is unacceptable. And we can't be complacent. Children and families need to be protected.
What interventions do you think can be done here by world leaders and donors? Given also because we are seeing these geopolitical tensions across the board, not one organization is affected, but many organizations are affected. I mean, is there any intervention that you in the near future can see, being introduced here and actually working?
Well, first of all, we need to invest on children and on families and help them to withstand shocks. We know that more and more families will have and will face more economic shocks, more climate shocks, and so financing needs to go there and help them. We have also seen how important it is to protect children and family while they are en route. So withdrawing funds for protection programs for those that are on the move are going to increase deaths, and the trend to decrease the safe pathways for migration, whereby families can actually move in a regular manner without having to resort to dangerous routes, is absolutely crucial as well.
And finally, Daniela, as we conclude, I mean, how do you think, early on, of course, we were talking about just the discrepancy in terms of those numbers and the gap in data, especially when we start looking at, child migrants. Why do you think this problem exists? And I mean, does that also further impact on when you go out there looking for that much needed donor funding?
Absolutely. The collection of data is fundamental as well. We need to know what is happening and where it's happening and how, because that really gives us the information needed to be at the right place at the right time and for children. And the problem that we have seen is that often data is not enough disaggregated, so we do not know what ages people are. And it's very difficult and very different to provide services for children versus services for adults. So we need that information, and it's important to have that the resources for that information to be collected and provided.
Daniela, thank you so much for that. Daniela Reale, Save the Children's Migration Policy and Advocacy Lead there, speaking about that recent report indicating that at least 4,000 children have died since 2014 while on the move seeking safety, and most of them, almost half actually, drowning from just that migration. Quite concerning indeed.